The crucifixion of Jesus Christ stands as the most pivotal moment in human history. It is a story of unimaginable sacrifice, a love poured out for a world lost in darkness, but the events surrounding his death were not limited to the physical agony he endured. The Gospels recount a series of miraculous signs that accompanied his final breaths, events that shook the earth and split the heavens. These signs were not mere spectacles, they were pronouncements from the heart of God, revealing the true nature of the sacrifice being made. They were echoes of the divine, reverberating through the very fabric of creation, confirming that this death was no ordinary death. This was the death of the Son of God. Matthew's Gospel describes a violent earthquake that ripped through the earth at the moment of Jesus' death. This was no ordinary quake. It was a cataclysmic event that shook the very foundations of the world. The sky darkened, the ground trembled, and the air was filled with an eerie sense of foreboding. It was as if the entire universe was reacting to the monumental event that had just taken place. The ground shook, rocks shattered, and tombs were torn open. The earth itself seemed to be in agony, unable to contain the magnitude of what had occurred. Massive fissures appeared in the ground, and ancient rocks that had stood for centuries were split apart. Tombs long sealed and forgotten were suddenly exposed, their contents revealed to the world. This was not just the earth reacting to a seismic event, this was creation itself groaning in response to the death of its creator. The very fabric of reality seemed to be tearing apart, as if the world could not bear the weight of such a loss. The skies wept, the ground roared, and the air was thick with sorrow. It was a moment of cosmic significance, a turning point in the history of the universe. The opening of the tombs symbolizes the power of Jesus' sacrifice to conquer death. It was a divine proclamation that death had been defeated, that the grave could no longer hold its captives. The light that shone from the open tombs was a beacon of hope, a promise of new life and resurrection. It was a powerful testament to the transformative power of Jesus' sacrifice. It foreshadows the resurrection to come, not only for Jesus, but for all who believe in him. The empty tomb was a sign of things to come, a glimpse into the future where death would be no more. It was a promise that those who put their faith in Jesus would also experience resurrection and eternal life. The sunrise over the cross symbolized a new beginning, a new dawn for humanity. From those opened graves, Matthew tells us, holy people who had died were raised to life. These were not just ordinary people, they were saints, holy men and women who had lived righteous lives. Their resurrection was a powerful sign of the new covenant, a testament to the truth of Jesus' teachings and the reality of his power over death. They walked among the living, a testament to the truth that death could not hold them. Their presence was a powerful witness to the reality of the resurrection, a living proof that Jesus' sacrifice had indeed conquered death. They walked among their descendants, sharing their stories and their faith, inspiring a new generation to believe in the power of the resurrection. Their resurrection was a preview of the hope offered to all. Through Christ, death is not the end, but a gateway to eternal life. The light that shone through the clouds was a symbol of the eternal life that awaits those who believe. It was a promise that death is not the final word, but a passage to a new and glorious existence. Through Christ we are offered the hope of eternal life, a life filled with light, love, and joy. Inside the Jewish temple, a thick curtain, known as the veil, separated the holy place from the most holy place, the dwelling place of God's presence. This veil represented the separation between humanity and God, a barrier created by sin. Only the high priest could enter the most holy place, and even then only once a year with a blood sacrifice for the sins of the people. But at the moment of Jesus' death, the Gospels tell us this veil was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth trembled, and this physical barrier between God and man was ripped apart, signifying that Jesus' sacrifice had bridged the chasm that separated us from a holy God. As if the earth trembling beneath our feet and the veil tearing in the temple were not enough to signify the gravity of the moment, the Gospel writers describe another startling event. Darkness enveloped the land, casting a shadow over everything. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, a period of 3 hours, A darkness fell upon the land so deep and pervasive that it seemed to blot out the sun itself, leaving the world in an eerie twilight. This was not a natural eclipse, it was something far more profound. It was a supernatural darkness, a sign of the spiritual turmoil that had gripped the world. This darkness was a tangible manifestation of the spiritual darkness that had fallen upon the world. A world in mourning. It was a time of mourning, a collective sorrow that permeated the hearts of many, not just for the death of an innocent man, but for the weight of sin that had brought about this moment of profound grief. The weight of sin was heavy, a burden that seemed almost too great to bear, casting a long shadow over humanity. Yet even in this overwhelming darkness there was a glimmer of hope, a faint light that pierced through the gloom. This glimmer of hope was a reminder that the darkness was not all-encompassing, that light could still break through. For this darkness was not the final word. It was a prelude, a necessary passage through which the world had to go. It was the darkness before the dawn, the moment before the first light of a new day began to emerge. This darkness was the prelude to the glorious light of resurrection, a new beginning that promised hope and renewal for all. Section 5. The Centurion's Confession. A testimony of truth. Among the witnesses to the crucifixion were Roman soldiers, hardened by battle and accustomed to death. These men, who had seen countless lives end, were no strangers to the brutality of their duties. They were the enforcers of Roman law, the embodiment of the empire's might and discipline. One of these soldiers, a centurion, had overseen countless executions. He was a seasoned officer, a leader among his peers, and a man who had witnessed the final moments of many condemned souls. His role was to ensure that order was maintained, that the sentences were carried out without fail. He was a man of authority, trained to maintain order and control. His presence commanded respect and fear, and his experience in the field was unmatched. The centurion's duty was clear, and he performed it with unwavering precision. Yet as he stood before the crucified Christ, something shifted within him. The scene before him was unlike any other he had witnessed. The man on the cross was different, and the events surrounding his death were extraordinary. The centurion found himself grappling with emotions he had long suppressed. Perhaps it was the earthquake, or the darkness, or the way Jesus had spoken, even in his agony. The natural phenomena that accompanied the crucifixion were awe-inspiring and terrifying. The centurion could not ignore the signs, the trembling earth, the darkened skies, and the words of Jesus that seemed to pierce through the chaos. Whatever the reason, the Gospels tell us that this hardened soldier uttered a profound confession. Truly, this was the Son of God. This declaration was not made lightly. It came from a place of deep realization and conviction. The centurion, a man who had seen and done it all, was moved to acknowledge the divinity of the man he had helped to crucify. This declaration, coming from a Roman official, a man of power in the very empire that had condemned Jesus, speaks volumes about the impact of Christ's death. It was a moment of truth, a testimony that transcended the boundaries of duty and authority. The centurion's words echoed through history, a testament to the profound effect that Jesus' sacrifice had on even the most unlikely of witnesses. Section 6. From Mockery to Fear. The crowd's transformation. The Gospels describe how a crowd had gathered to witness the crucifixion. Some were curious onlookers, but many were filled with hatred, eager to see Jesus silenced. They hurled insults and mocked his pain. But as the sky grew dark and the earth shook, a change came over the crowd. The mocking laughter died in their throats, replaced by a growing unease. When the centurion declared Jesus the Son of God, fear gripped the hearts of many. They had come to witness the execution of a criminal, but they had seen something far different. They had witnessed the death of the Son of God, and the earth itself bore witness to this truth. Section 7. Echoes of the cross, the power of his sacrifice. The events surrounding Jesus' death were not random occurrences. They were woven together by God to reveal the significance of the sacrifice being made. The earthquake, the torn veil, the darkness, and the centurion's confession all pointed to the truth. This was no ordinary man dying on that cross. The very fabric of creation was being shaken, rent and transformed by the power of his love. The cross was not the end, but the beginning. It was the ultimate act of love, the sacrifice that would bridge the gap between God and humanity, opening a way for us to experience his forgiveness and grace. Section 8, embracing the miracle, living in light of the cross. The miraculous signs that accompanied Jesus' death are not just historical curiosities. They are powerful reminders of the depth of God's love for us. They challenge us to live in light of the sacrifice made on that cross, to embrace the hope, forgiveness, and new life offered to us through Christ. The torn veil reminds us that we have direct access to God through Jesus. We no longer need a priest or a system of sacrifices. Through Christ, we can boldly approach the throne of grace, confident in his love and mercy. Section 9. A love that conquers all. The events of that first Good Friday were both terrifying and awe-inspiring. They revealed the depths of human sin and the even greater depths of God's love. In the face of hatred and rejection, Jesus offered forgiveness. In the face of death, he offered life. The cross stands as an eternal symbol of a love that conquers all, a love that transforms lives, and a love that offers hope to a world in desperate need of his grace. Through the sacrifice of his Son, God demonstrated the immeasurable extent of his love, a love that knows no bounds, a love that can heal our brokenness, and a love that can make us new.